What's up, guys? Ooh, I can never get the screen right. Y'all know how this is. All right. What's up, y'all? It's Dominique, aka That Therapist. Okay. I'm the lead clinician and CEO for a group practice known as Yellowbird Counseling, where there are 9 therapists and 1 massage therapist. And we service the states of Alabama, Florida. I say those 2 first, since we'll be primarily talking about those 2 states tonight. But Alabama, Florida, Tennessee, Louisiana, Mississippi. So if you live in Alabama, Florida, Tennessee, Louisiana, Mississippi, come on down. We got you. We're going to take care of you. And we're going to continue to do what we do on Thursdays, but due to some conflicts with scheduling, y'all, I'm going to be out of town next week, and I didn't want to skip a week. So I decided to move all the lives that we originally do on Thursdays at 8 p.m. Central Standard Time. They are now on for this month, and we'll see how it goes. But for this month, at least, we will be doing them on Wednesdays at 8 p.m. Central Standard Time, which is 7 p.m. East. No, sorry. 9 p.m. Eastern and 6 p.m. Pacific. Okay. What do? Well, we educate the general population on reasons that we could all benefit from therapy outside of simply just having a mental illness. All right. So that is what we do. And we pick different topics, sometimes climate, whatever's going on in the socio-political climate. We discuss those things and relate that back to how we could all benefit from therapy. And I have another Breaking the Stigma shirt on in honor of Mental Health Awareness Month. You see how the word stigma is breaking? Breaking the stigma. And you can go to yellowbirdcounseling.com, get you one of those. Thank you for everybody that is watching in real time. And thank you for everybody that is watching on the replay. If you could, in an effort to help me break the stigma surrounding mental health and mental illness, and topics that relate to mental health and mental illness, please share this live. Be an advocate. Share this live in honor of Mental Health Awareness Month, and that is your contribution. Thank you. Awesome. So yeah, let's get to it. So last month, let's see, we're in May. Yes, last month, I want to say it was April 1st. Okay. There was a bill passed in Florida, formerly known as the anti-grooming bill, but people like myself call it don't say gay bill. All right, don't say gay bill. So people that they color us, calling us libertarians and whatever they call us, but it's, or the press secretary, I'll say that, Florida's state governor, press secretary, labeled people like myself anti whatever, and we use the don't say gay, but it's formally known as the anti-grooming bill. So what is that, you might ask, if you don't already know? Well, in Florida specifically, and then in Alabama, we'll get to that, but Florida, that's where this bill started. It prohibits any classroom discussion or instruction around LGBTQ issues for children ages K through 3. Okay, so if your child is in a classroom environment and you live in Florida, the bill it prohibits teachers or instructionalists, whoever, faculty of any kind, prohibits them from discussing any LGBTQ issues with children K through 3. Okay, so kindergarten through 3rd grade. For Alabama, this bill has also been signed by Governor Kay Ivey, And in Alabama, they took it up a notch. It's K through 5. Look at us. We always got to one-up somebody in Alabama. We're going to make it K through 5. Can't just be K through 3. We got to go the extra mile and K through 5. So K through 5 in Alabama, prohibited classroom instruction. I should have asked Shekinah to come on, talk about this, but she was on last week, and I don't want to burn my therapist out with doing lives all the time. But I probably should have chose her for this one instead. But that's okay. That's all right. We got this. We're going. I say that because she actually is a K through, I'm guessing 5 at the school she works at, counselor. And so she would be able to give us more insight from a faculty member's point of view of like, what is this looking like in Alabama? But anyways, so no discussion of mommies and mommies, daddies and daddies, no discussion of I have a penis or vagina and I don't feel like that fits me. No discussion of I feel like I like girls, or I feel like I like boys, or I feel like I like both. No discussion. So I'm assuming that all they can talk about as it relates to family structure is heteronormative. That's it. Mommies and daddies getting married, having babies, which, I mean, if we're talking about the reasoning, we'll get to the reasoning behind this bill, but that does still include talk of sexuality and sex, because where do babies come from? Okay, so you can't talk about LGBTQ, but you can talk about where heteronormative, I'll say that, heteronormative relationships, how they produce babies. So for me, as an advocate for mental health overall, as a member of the LGBTQ community myself, and as whatever my political affiliation is, this was very unsettling. So I wanted to discuss it from a mental health perspective. And feel free to weigh in the comments. Please share. Again, please share. But feel free to definitely weigh in the comments on your thoughts around the issue. My first concern is this. Now, I'm going to just speak from my own personal experience. I'm going to do that. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to talk about sexuality from my own personal experience. Now, me personally, when I started having any inkling that I might like girls, I was 5 years old. 5. And I know this because I had a crush on one of my teachers. I remember it very vividly as a 5-year-old. A teacher in my after-school care, I had a crush on. Now, I grew up in a heterosexual household. I didn't even know what the word gay, lesbian, I didn't know what that meant. A kid in first grade, I remember a kid on the playground saying, like, you're gay or something. And I'm like, what does that mean? I didn't even know what it meant. Okay. I knew what I felt, but I didn't know what it meant. Okay. He said, he had to explain it to me. Another 5-year-old is explaining to me what it means to be gay. And I was real confused at first. I was like, so does that mean if I like you? I remember this conversation so vividly. We were sitting in the tires. We were like, there was this tire structure of like where the kids could climb through the tires. We were sitting in the tire structure. I was like, so that means if I like you, but you like somebody else. He's like, no, that means if you like a girl. And I was like, oh, okay. Like, and then I remember thinking, Well, I feel like I've liked girls before, so it's called gay. That's what it's called. It's called gay. So, other than that, I don't really remember feeling any type of way about it because, again, I wasn't, as a 5-year-old, making the connection to these feelings that I have relate to this word being said. But I grew up in a heteronormative household from 0 to 9. And I say 0 to 9 because that's when my parents got divorced, but they were still, in heterosexual relationships with other people. Okay. So it wasn't anything that anyone said anything about or talked about. But my point in bringing that up is it did not negate the fact that I felt what I felt at 5 years old. Okay. I had never been around anybody who was gay to my knowledge. I had a mom and a dad in a household until they got divorced. And then when they got divorced, dad got remarried to a woman, mom got remarried to a man. It was not a discussion that we had. I didn't have until middle school. I didn't even know of any other kids who liked the same sex. I just knew what I felt without any influence of any outside resources. I know I vividly remember this and how it just, even at 5 years old, knowing what I felt, hearing what he said, this other 5-year-old, hearing what he said, it was not clicking that was related to me as a person, that word. So, because that's a lot. But again, did not negate the fact that those feelings existed, okay? They still existed. My point in that is for it to be called the anti-grooming bill. It's kind of misleading as far as saying that all you have to, like, the topic of LGBTQ issues is so insidiously contagious that if you just even talk about it, the kids are just going to be gay. No. I was gay before I ever knew what it meant, before I ever had a conversation with anyone else about it. I liked girls. That's what it was. Before an adult ever told me anything, before another kid ever told me anything, I liked girls. That's just what it was. I had an attraction to girls. It's just what it was. And so, their effort to keep a child from being groomed, it's nonsensical. Okay, nonsensical. In that a child, and we've had this discussion before, a child, you can go look it up for yourself, look up the research for yourself. I already did it. If you don't believe me, fine. All human people, we'll just say that, and I'm just talking about humans. We could take it a step further, but I don't want to get off topic. But as far as human beings, your sexual preference, your gender identity, you have to make a delineation, okay, are all developed prenatal. Your preference, now you realizing what these things are do definitely come later, okay? Do definitely come later, like making the connection that I'm a girl, and what does that mean? Or I'm a boy, and what does that mean? That comes later, but all of your predisposition to gender identity, and preference, sexual preference, are all developed prenatal. Okay, it's based on the amount of androgen hormones that the mother releases in utero. Okay, so if you don't believe me, definitely go look it up. But I say all that to say, what is the point of this? How is this helping? How is this helping children? How is this helping society? Okay, there's definitely a very clear ulterior motive, and it does not seem that this the implementation and the passing of this bill were thought out really well. It just seems like maybe there was some top-heavy opinions on one side or the other politically by whatever party. We'll just say it that way. We're not even going to make this party specific, okay? That part I'm not concerned with, okay? We're not going to make this party specific. We're going to talk about the bill for what it is, and regardless of what party favored it more, okay? So what is the point of this bill? Well, I looked that up. What's the point of it? The point is to, this is what they say. The point is to reinforce the fundamental rights of parents to make decisions regarding the upbringing and control of their children. Okay? So, we chose this specific topic, LGBTQ issues, as a means to an end to help parents regain their parenting right in the school. Well, what about parents who are same-sex parents? What about mommies and mommies? What about daddies and daddies? How is that going to affect a child to live in a same-sex home, but then go to school and be told that that's something they can't discuss, but their counterparts, their peers who have heterosexual parents, can talk about their relationship with their mommies and daddies all day long. They can read about it in books, whatever books are available for the children to read that might talk about family structure in any way, shape, or form. Why are there books about your mommy and daddy, but there's no books about my mommy and mommy or my daddy and daddy? Imagine what that could do to a child so young to be told that their family structure is wrong or that there is something wrong with their parents. I don't think that was considered when passing this bill. That could cause dysphoria, gender dysphoria. That could cause orientation dysphoria for children, and that's not necessary. Okay, I know that as far as I don't know now, but prior to the passing of this bill for Alabama, it was a DHR requirement for diversity to be exhibited for the children in pre-K classrooms. They had to have white families, black families, brown families. They had to have mommies and daddy pictures. They had to have mommy and mommy pictures. They had to have daddy and daddy. Like, there had to be representation of every possible family structure, which I was like, yes, okay, Alabama, we got that. But then I don't know what that's going to look like. But that was very important because kids are coming from home to school, and they don't need to be told at school that what's going on in their home is incorrect or taboo or hush hush. We shouldn't talk about that. And which is going to cause shame and guilt to develop in children K through 3 for Florida or K through 5 for Alabama. There's going to be some shame and guilt that comes with that, and which will cause anxiety and depression. So do we see how shame and guilt caused by this, we're going to give parentals more rights in the schools? There's definitely a lot of different ways to go about that, and the ways that needs to be gone about aren't even happening. It's not even happening. It's a very broken system. All right. But as it relates to mental health, a child being denied the resources to be able to talk about their family structure, or talk about feelings that they may have for their self that they don't yet understand. They don't have a way to process that with a teacher that they might really love, or a paraprofessional that they might love, or a principal that they might love. Like, that's been taken away from them. And so what if you're a child with a mommy and you can't talk about it at school, and you don't want to make your mommy sad, so you don't tell them how you're really feeling. And then you don't have another outlet. I'm just explaining to you how children think and how much of a burden children take on sometimes. Okay? So you've now taken away an outlet for children who have been predispositioned in utero to orient as lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, asexual, plus. Okay, you have now, we can't talk about that, and that developmental age is very critical. All right, that's very critical. That is where the foundation is laid. So with these children being denied that at school, there's no alliance there with the same-sex parents and the school. They have now broken an alliance of a percentage of student population in the school. However, whatever percent of them have same-sex parents, that alliance is now broken. Okay, there's no way to really talk back and forth. And I was just talking to some parents today. Sometimes parents, all they have the energy to do is parent. Okay, all they have the energy to do is the necessities. Okay, and maybe they don't know how to remove themselves enough from a situation to talk to their children about their gender identity, sexual orientation, or gender. You know, they may not have the bandwidth to do that. But now these kids can't go to school and do that. And now they got to ask their parents for a therapist, which is cool. I have a lot of kids that ask their parents for therapy, but then that's another thing, because there is a likelihood, I can't tell you how much, but there is a likelihood that if a kid doesn't feel comfortable talking about their sexual orientation with their parents, they probably don't feel comfortable asking them for a therapist either. And at the age that the child is like, I need therapy, it's like way beyond this age. It's like 14, 15 years old. But what about those previous 14, 15 years to where they had to work up the courage to be able to even ask their parents for a therapist? And now they can't talk about it in school. Another thing. So not only can we not bring up LGBTQ issues, we can bring up heteronormative issues all day long if we want to, but we can't bring up LGBTQ issues. We're othering it again, making it something different again. When truth be told, y'all, the population of LGBTQ people versus heterosexual, the LGBTQ population is marginalized, but it is definitely not smaller. It is definitely not smaller than the heterosexual population. All right. I'm telling y'all that. Y'all don't got to believe me, but I'm telling you, it is not a smaller population of people. It may be a smaller population of open people, but it's not a smaller population of people that exist of LGBTQ versus heterosexual people. There's a lot of LGBTQ people, okay? And the fact that we still have adults my age and older still struggling with being able to be open about their sexual orientation is further why this is a detriment to the mental health of our children. Because at some point, LGBTQ adults who are still in the closet, which we say in the closet, are not open about their sexual orientation, at some point experience some sort of shame and guilt around the issue. So this is perpetuating this shame and guilt that already exists and doesn't allow children to live in who they are, who they are as a person. And I'm going to tell you this as a lesbian woman. I'm going to tell you this. If I could wave a wand to make myself be straight, I would, because stuff like this, it's hard. It's hard because we have ignorance and we have hate and we have misinformation and we have uninformation and we have, in 2022, these are still things that exist. And that's a lot. Being a Black female lesbian woman, baby, I'm the most marginalized, okay? And if I could wave a wand and be straight, I probably would. It would just be easier. But that's not the case. So for those of you that think it's a choice, ask yourself, who would choose that? Who would choose that? Who would choose to expose themselves to hate speech and hate legislation and hate and ignorance? Like, who would say, ooh, that might be fun to do? No, that ain't how that works. Again, in utero, that's what happened. But it would have been nice to have somebody explain that to me as a possibility, as a child. To know that it is possible to have more than just a mommy and daddy. You can have a mommy and mommy, a daddy and daddy. Okay? You can have somebody who was born male or female and changed to male or female. You can have that. There is actually, I learned this in undergrad. There is actually, now I was referring to transgender individuals. So that is a possibility, but there is also a subset of population in the Dominican Republic where kids literally will go home. I think they go home, and it's around puberty. They'll go home for break, summer break, and be a girl and come back a boy. And it's not from surgery. It's their sex literally did change. And so then that's something. That's a subset in the Dominican Republic, though. All right. But there are gender changes that can take place in a human. There are humans that are born with both male and female genitalia. That is a thing, okay? So for a child that doesn't understand the complexity of gender, sexuality, and you just cannot find it within yourself to explain it age appropriately to a K through 3 or a K through 5, okay? And I'm gonna tell you, by 5th grade, nowadays, kids know what sex is, okay? And it's not just about sex, okay? And that's where it gets, it's just about sex. And if you want to teach children about sex, you're a pedophile. Like, these are literally things that are being said about people who oppose this anti-grooming bill. Oh, you're in favor of pedophilia? No. I'm not at all in favor of adults having sex with children. That has nothing to do with being in the LGBTQ community. I'm not understanding how they're conflating pedophilia and LGBTQ. Pedophilia is actually a mental illness. It's a diagnosable mental illness. Being lesbian, gay, bisexual, or transgender, those things are not a diagnosis. Those are not a mental illness. They are not in the DSM-5. They're not. Pedophilia is, but not lesbian, gay, transgender, bisexual. That's not in there because it is not a mental illness, okay? So I'm not It's like saying that Coke and milk are the same thing. Like if you have Coca-Cola and milk, they're the same. They're not. One is a dairy product and one is a carbonated beverage. So they're not at all the same. It's like comparing apples and oranges. So just because I believe that supporting a child's journey in discovering their sexual orientation, gender identity, you can do that in an age appropriate way for K through 5, and it may not even be formal instruction. It may be like, hey, I'm having some weird feelings that I don't recognize. Can I talk to my teacher or talk to my counselor about what I'm feeling? Because I may have, let's just say I have heterosexual parents and I'm scared to tell them because I'm scared they'll be mad. So can I talk to my teacher or my counselor about what I'm feeling? Because I'm feeling really anxious and it's causing me, to feel depressed or whatever. Nope. Not until you're in the 6th grade in Alabama, and not until you're in the 4th grade in Florida, which is very, very unfair. So let's kick it up a notch. So, and this is real stupid because they don't even see how this could flip back on them. But this bill also gives parents the right to sue the school over teachings that they don't agree with, and the district will pay. All right, cool. All right, so I can sue the school as a mommy and mommy. Can I sue the school because I don't agree with the fact that my child is not allowed to discuss their family structure? Does that open the door for that? Because I ain't even got no baby yet, but I'm on it. Does that mean that that's what that is? They're assuming that only heterosexual parents, they're assuming heterosexual parents have a problem with their children, with their children maybe learning more about their sexual orientation or what it can mean for them. That's an assumption. Maybe some parents do. I'm sure there are heterosexual parents that have a problem with that. But you're going to sue the school? And that all sounds well and good, I guess, as a parent to give you the power to sue the school. But then if they can sue, it was very general language. If they can sue the school over teachings, it didn't just say LGBTQ, teachings they don't like, and the district will pay? Like, this was not well thought out at all. This was just not well thought out. Then we have teachers and faculty members who, if they are in the LGBTQ community, what does that mean? They can't have pictures of their spouses on their desk. They can't talk about their spouses. They can't bring them to the school. Only heterosexual teachers are allowed to have pictures of their spouses or their partners or whoever on their desk. They were saying that even the rainbow safe circles that were up around schools in Florida, they started peeling those down. How sad. So not only do we have children who will be left even more confused because they're not allowed to process it with maybe a faculty member that they trust. Now we have faculty members who have to live in silence in order to keep their job. So it's pretty much like a don't ask, don't tell implemented in the school system. What? If the United States military disbanded that whole don't ask, don't tell, what makes it okay to implement it in another institution, especially an educational institution where kids are literally there to learn, and then they can't learn about structure, their family structure or their orientation? They can't learn about that too? All right. All right, cuz. So now we've got anxious and depressed teachers, and we've got anxious and depressed teachers teaching possible anxious and depressed children. Y'all can come on down to Yellowbird Counseling. We got room for you, especially Alabama and Florida. We got y'all. We got y'all, okay? Hopefully this nonsensical bill is not implemented in any other state, but the Southeast is questionable. I know Georgia ain't going to stand for that. Whew, we always got Georgia to lean on. But, and then they were blue in this last election. So yeah, there is Georgia. That might be our only hope for the Southeast. But hopefully it's not implemented anywhere else. And hopefully some disbanding can happen, but we'll see. And which this point, like none of these points really relate to specifically LGBTQ issues. They implemented this with the hopes that this will keep the discussion of the LGBTQ community out of the schools. So the last thing that this bill was set to do is it requires schools to tell parents when their child is receiving mental health services, which, hey, not a problem. But the motivation behind that is, hey, if your kid even tries to come and tell us that they're gay or lesbian or bisexual or transgender, we're going to tell you. Don't worry, we're going to tell you. And this age group, unfortunately, is not protected. Their privacy is not protected because they are under the age of consent. You have to be at least 14 years old to receive medical treatment without your parents having to be privy to what's going on. But not for 5 through 13-year-olds or 5 through 12-year-olds. They're not protected. So their whole thing was, hey, we're on your side, parents. We'll sue them if they, we'll let you sue them if they try to talk about that LGBTQ stuff and groom your child. And if your child comes to us talking about they feel like they're gay or lesbian, we're going to tell you. This breaks my heart for these children. It breaks my heart for children that know well before puberty who they like and what they like and who they are. It's not even about just a sexual orientation, gender. I've talked to a lot of my transgender clients that knew that there's assigned sex at birth was not who they were. Then they had known that probably since 5, 6, 7, 8 years old. There are some that came to that conclusion older, but a lot of them were very, very, very young when they knew, this assigned sex doesn't feel right. It doesn't feel like this is who I'm supposed to be. And so imagine being 5 years old and having no one to process that with. Imagine being 6 years old, 10 years old, 9 years old, 8 years old, having no one to process that with. That's a lot to carry. That is a lot to carry for a child, on top of the other stuff that they experience, like kids being weird at school just because their, hormones are changing, or kids being weird at school because they're kids and they don't know how to express their emotions appropriately and they need help with that. On top of that, now I don't feel like my assigned sex is what I'm supposed to be, but I have no one to talk to about it. Again, depression and anxiety is going to be on the rise. All right, with that. And all of your children that have to experience that, Florida, Alabama, we got you at Yellowbird Counseling, because guess what? We are independent of the school system. So if they need to talk about it, we can talk about it. We can help them process. Parents, same-sex parents or teachers, that are experiencing anxiety and depression, or anger behind this, we got you. Because all of my therapists, and I tell everyone this when they call, all of my therapists have to at least ally. They don't have to be a part of, but they have to ally at least with the LGBTQ community, because I myself am a part of the community. So what I look like having therapists that don't ally with the community when I'm a part of the community, that don't even go. All right. So yes, all my therapists are allies. Okay. And any further education that they need about the LGBTQ community, I'll be sure to give it to them. And if they are having, which none of them have, but if they're having, supervisory issues that need to be addressed with how to treat an individual in the LGBTQ community, I am sure to provide that to them. I'm not going to leave them in the dark and cause my clients that trust Yellowbird with their mental health services. I'm not going to allow them to be injured. Okay, so I won't let the clients be injured. They are my main priority. So, but yeah, so labeling the LGBTQ community and LGBTQ topics and concerns and issues as other or dangerous or pedophilia, that's wrong. It's wrong. Okay, it's violent and it's wrong. So whatever they're trying to avoid here, and it's just like maybe they didn't feel like dealing with issues that are actually issues. But this is not one. This is not one. There was better places to form bills around education. I can think of several areas where bills can be formed around education that would be more beneficial to faculty and students than this. Okay. So it was somebody's political angle, probably to be reelected, whatever. And so they're like, ooh, targeting the LGBTQ community is a shoo-in for a primarily Republican state. So I think there was a lot of ulterior motives, but at the expense of the mental health of thousands of children. Okay? Thousands. That's not fair. If that's what the political climate is coming to, we are in a lot of trouble. And with the most recent mental health crisis that have occurred in the past couple of years, I just don't see that really slowing down anytime soon. I do love what I do, but it's heartbreaking for someone to have to come to therapy because they've been told that who they are, the way they were born, is wrong. So, again, please share this live. All right. Please share this live. And next week, we're going to talk about the weird bills formed around banning transgender individuals from going to bathrooms that is for the gender that they identify with. Okay. So I'm very careful because I want to make sure I say things correctly. I don't like being politically incorrect, especially around issues regarding marginalized populations. So we're going to talk about the detriment that's causing and mental health wise for our transgender family. Okay. But definitely there is major concern about the rise of anxiety and depression, especially for LGBTQ youth surrounding this issue. But what I do like is that the Magic City Acceptance Academy, they are 6 through 12. And so that they're still free to include that in their curriculum and talk to their students. And I'm thankful for that because 6th grade is when that puberty, 5th and 6th grade. But Governor Kay Ivey, she just felt like she just needed to take it up a notch and make it 5th grade. But puberty starts happening around that time, and sexual identity and preference and gender assignment and preferred gender assignment and all of that starts coming up at that age. All right. Definitely happens with our K through 3, K through 5. But they fortunately they haven't extended it to the older ages, which, I mean, I guess thanks, but like I said, I was 5 years old when I knew I liked girls. But if I was 5 years old now in 2022, I wouldn't have been able to talk about it. That's really, really sad. It's really sad for the 5-year-olds that exist now. They can't talk about it. The 6-year-olds, the 10-year-olds, the 11-year-olds, really 11 down. They can't even talk about their family if they have same-sex parents, and they can't talk about their orientation if they themselves identify with one of the letters in the LGBTQIA plus community. So that's really sad, and it's hurtful, and it's wrong, and it's going to cause, like I said, a major detriment in the mental health of an already marginalized population of people. So, questions, concerns, comments. Happy Mental Health Awareness Month. Happy Mental Health Awareness Month. Comments, questions, concerns. Okay, well, let me tell y'all this. If you're not on the newsletter, you want to get on the newsletter so you can know when I do my $100 Cash App giveaways. You're not going to know unless you're on the newsletter, and you won't know what to do to be eligible unless you get on the newsletter. So you definitely want to go to yellowbirdcounseling.com, yellowbirdcounseling.com, yellowbirdcounseling.com. And you will see the logo that I own. It has been trademarked. I own it. I own the bird. I own all of it. I own the tagline. I own all of it. So, yes, you'll see the picture, and that'll be us. And you are welcome to see any of my great therapists on staff in order to help you with your therapeutic and or counseling needs, okay? But until next week, I will see you guys soon.